Hello procrastinators and welcome back. So today we are going to make a card, either a save the date or an invitation card where we're using vellum and some gold foil that's adhesive and just a piece of cardstock. So we're going to do that. Before we do, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, and just so you know, all of the items that I'm using today will be located down in the description box. And just so that I can show you these items, I am using a Martha Stewart Cricut mixed materials package. You can use any of their cardstock or anybody else's cardstock for that matter. So I'm going to put cardstock below. I'm also using Silhouette gold foil to write the big portion of save the date or whatever it may be when I get there. And I am just using clear vellum. So it may be this pack, it may be another pack, but it's going to be clear vellum. So I'm going to put those things again down in the description box. Like I said, please like, subscribe, hit that bell. Now let's get started. So the first thing that I did was measure. I had an envelope here and I was like, oh, I want them to be this size of envelope. And if you buy envelopes where you just get the envelope and you're going to put your own invitation in, you want to measure about how big your envelope is so that you know how big your card should be. So I did that, and in this case, the card should be 7 by 5. So in order to get that shape for your 7 by 5, you're going to hit shapes. You're going to hit square. When you hit square, then you're going to size that. So you can either size it by unlocking and finding it yourself, or you can go up here to the top and then just go ahead, unlock it, make sure it's unlocked, and then do 5 in width and 7 in height. And once you hit enter, you'll get the size of the card that you need. One thing I will say, like, I wanted to change the color of this just so that I could see it in the pink, but it started trying to make my shape a print and cut shape. So leave it if you can. Just deal with it. It's not going to be that way when you do it for real. Okay, so the next thing I did was find my You Are Invited. So instead of creating all of this myself, I just found a cute one here. So I went to images, and from there I typed in You're Invited, and then I just found the image that I liked. And I like this one, so that is the one that I selected. So I would select that, and then I would put insert image. So we don't need to do that right now because it's already there. So there you have that one, even though that one looks a little bit different. Let me see something. That little yellow is missing. I think I like that one better. So we're going to go with this one maybe. So what I did, once I found the one that I want and knew where I wanted it to be, and I wanted it tilted, so I curved it a little bit. And then just sized it on the card, which is a little off. Let me see. Trying to get my stuff to work here. So, from there, the next thing that I had to do, so I'm gonna get rid of, you know what? If I'm going to keep this one, I need them to all be the same color because I need that foil to be the same color. I'm not going to use this one. All right, I'm going to use the one I had initially, but you go to images. I'm sorry. That's my creative process, right? So I go to images, I shape it to the size, the size that I want. So then the next thing that you have to do is just select your text. So there's 2 ways that I did this particular one, and I'm looking and seeing that it's a little off center, so I might have to detach it just so that I can do this. So so the first thing I did was do individual lines. So I selected text. I typed in what I wanted, and then I just did one line and then another line. So I just typed in text again. And then what I did to kind of make sure they were on the same page is kind of line them up just to kind of see if they were the same size. So in this case, they are. And I'm just going to move everything over a little bit because it looks really crooked. That's the only thing about like when you're doing this, when you don't click on it all the way, then it grabs and moves your card on you. So, and I just want everything centered. So, okay, so the next way to do that is if you look at this text box, you see I typed everything and then I just hit enter and type the rest of it one line down. And what I had to do here was use this line space just to make sure that it was close enough, because sometimes it'll leave a big gap, which is why sometimes I just stick to doing each individual line. So so that's that. So okay, so the next thing that I did, again, another text line. Right now I'm just going to make sure it's even, and then once I had all of the text on the way that I want it, in the font that I wanted to use, and definitely you can use different fonts. This is pretty generic here just for the sake of this video. But what you need to do is from this point you want to yikes, trying to make sure it's right. Ugh. Okay, let me see. If you're ever trying to see something and it goes back behind, you can just hit the arrange button and it'll put it back where you need it. So this would pretty much be how it's lined up. You see my head is caught crooked because I want to make sure it's right. But okay, back to the fonts. So with these fonts, if you like them, this is Easton. So these two lines are an Easton font, and then these lines here are an everyday font. So those are the font names. So anyways, the next thing that you want to do is make sure that one, the things that's supposed to cut says cut, and the things that's supposed to write says draw. So as you can see here, I have draw, 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 and my square is going to cut. So now what I'm going to do to make sure that that draws onto my square is flatten the two. So once, no, I'm not. I'm going to unflatten that. So look what that just did. So if you hit flatten, then you see that all of this becomes a print and cut, which is not something that you want. So then you have to go back. If you make that mistake, you have to go back and select draw on all of your things to make them back right. So learn from my mistakes, please. So this all now says draw again. And then my square, I'm going to take off this print by saying no fill. And then they're back. Everything's back to draw and cut. I'm going to select everything again. And this time I'm going to hit attach. And there. Now everything says cut, draw, 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 draw. So that is how that works. And again, just to make sure my stuff is right, that's what it would look like. I'm happy with what that is for this video at least. And then hit make it. You should have two mats, one with your card and the words on it, which will be your vellum, and then another one with just your you're invited. Here's another thought that I just thought about. So I'm going to actually hit cancel because we need, if I'm going to do a vellum and only a vellum, then we can stop here. But if I'm going to do a vellum and a cardstock card behind it, then I need actually another, I need another 7 by 5. So what I'm gonna do is just make another shape that's 7 by 5. So instead of erasing that one that I did earlier, I should have just left it. So again, to do that, I'm gonna make that a 5 for width and a 7 for height. And then that way, this will be my back cardboard stock, and this will be my vellum, which I'll then add this to. So, or if you wanted this to be your card stock, then this would be your vellum, and then your vellum would go on top of here. So that's 2 different ways of doing that. So let's hit make it, and maybe I'll cut it and do this both ways. So again, you have your 2 different mats. So the next thing that you're going to do is pull out your light grip mat, because things with a stronger grip on it kind of can curve your paper, and you don't want that to happen. So you're going to hit continue. And from here, the first mat is the mat that's going to be drawn. So we're just going to go ahead and pick a heavy cardstock. So this number 2 is telling me that it wants me to do a couple of things. It wants me to load my black pen in clamp A, and then it wants me to load my fine point blade in clamp B. So I am going to do those things and show you the rest of this process through my other camera. So here we go. Again, it wants me to put the pen here, and you can see there's an arrow. There's an arrow on the pen that tells you just to put it in and push it down, and then you just close it up, and then you should have your fine, well, depending on what your last project is, you're just going to do your fine tip, which, so those 2 are in, and then the next thing, you're just going to let it cut. And what I've decided to do is I'm going to cut twice so that you guys can see the difference in whether it writes completely on the vellum or whether it writes on the vellum and then the cardstock. So I am going to show you a few minutes of this, and then I will, because you can't see much when it's writing, so I'm not going to waste your time by that. So once you let it go, it'll write whatever you have, and then we'll see it in the next step. Here is the first cut, and I would definitely use a different font if I had to do that again. But other than that, that's pretty much the process. You want to make sure that you pull the mat away from the card and not the card away from the mat, so you don't have all that curling. So again, I'm going to actually print this one again, just because I just want to see the differences between the 2. So I just put a piece of vellum on there, and instead of going to the other mat, I'm going to select mat number 1 again, and then I'm going to hit the arrow so that it can go. Okay, so just a quick note, my Cricut just gave me the red and white flashing flash of death because your paper has gotten jammed or something like that. And so as you can see here, my paper is jammed and didn't cut the other side. And what I think I did here was I did not change the paper. I left it on cardstock. So just remember that if you're going to try something and use more than one type of paper, that you always change the paper. So again, when I go to make the cut on the foil paper, I'm going to have to remember to go in and change it to say foil. So just another little tip. All kinds of fun little things happening right now. So even though I selected adhesive foil, the foil is not as cut as it needs to be. So I can see that they tried, but it's not there, right? So I don't know if you can see that with the way that this is, but it's there, but I can't separate it. So that's a piece of wasted foil. So, and then I had already started cutting the second one. So what I'm gonna do, instead of pulling this out and throwing this away, because it's already in here, what I can do is just hit the arrows. Not the arrows, don't hit the arrows because it'll pull it out. I can hit the Cricut button and then it will recut in the same exact spot. If you pull it out and put it back in, you're risking the likelihood of it not cutting in the same spot. But if you just hit the Cricut button, you can do that a couple of times to make sure that that cut goes through. So just thought I'd share that tip as these things keep happening. Yay! Okay, I think I finally got these where it cut through enough. So I had to make sure I had this on adhesive matte and not just adhesive foil matte. Seemed to cut a little bit thicker than just adhesive foil, which is what I selected the first time. And then I also still let it cut 3 times before I took it out. And now look, it's actually weeding like it should, which is great. And like I said, I put it on my transfer paper, and then I am just going to put it on the vellum. So first we're gonna try it with it being on the vellum by itself. So that's lining that up, and I think I had it at an angle. I don't think, I know I had it at an angle. So bam. That would be option 1, where the only thing you have is you are invited, and then the rest of the information is on the actual cardstock and is showing below. And or we can have where everything is on the vellum, and then you can even put like a picture on the back. You can use this as a picture or anything. So let me get that one on here. Trying to make sure I do everything where y'all can see, because I'll be paying attention all the time. If you don't have one of these, like I didn't get one of these for a really long time, and I just used my little other thing. I don't even know what it's called, but I was like, I ain't getting one of them rollers and spending more money. I love my roller. I just want y'all to know. And if you want to try it, that will also be in the description box, but you got to try it if you haven't. Because it is a much nicer tool, getting stuff flattened, getting the air bubbles out and all of that. So just something to think about. And like I said, I use a piece of transfer tape that I have used before, because sometimes I feel like if you use something that you used before, it has a less chance to stick into it. So I keep a few just kind of hanging around. Ooh, but look at that. So what do you think? When I touch this, so these aren't perfect. And I would probably use some glue dots to hold those together, or just a little strip of glue right across the top. But so here's the one with the words on it, on the vellum, I mean, and then just having that background different, or you can make the background whatever you want. So there's that one, and then there again is the one where just the vellum has the gold foil and then all of the words are underneath. So either way, I think it's a good option. I personally like it with the vellum on, with the everything on the vellum, but I think you would be good either way. So anyways, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, check out those links below, and guess what, y'all? We're finished. I'll see you all the next time.